It's Brian White again, Brian at Future Aza, where he currently is recording from Mexico City. I understand it's one of the biggest cities in the world.
It is. It is. It is
It
one of
is
the biggest
the,
cities.
or one of.
It's tough to know what the actual population is, but north of 20 million. It is a city as big as Shanghai, maybe bigger, close either way. And it's not as sophisticated as Shanghai. It's very expensive to make a city like Shanghai that
Yes.
size, as modern as it is, and they've done a good job with it. Mexico City just goes on forever in all directions. And as much as we travel each day, I'm confident we've seen just none of it yet.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Well, speaking of travel, we are in the travel business, in on four wheels at least. And so I think that the number one subject matter online on X for the last few days has been the conversation around Robotaxi. And a and a subset of the conversation about Robotaxi has been the what would you call it? The debate that's been going on between Gary Black and I about about
I was hoping that's where we were going because the blackening has been a dark chapter in Gary's ex persona. I reposted it, his thing, saying, "Wow, this is interesting, don't you think, everyone?" While I disagree with Gary Black's assessment, I'd like to hear what you fine folks think. And boy, did people let me know the things that you and I believe, already do know. Um, but if I may just poke in real early with this one,
Sure,
because
sure,
I'd
sure.
love to hear your answer. Gary said, "Well, Uber and Waymo will just lower their price."
Well, they can't lower it while they got a human in there. They're pretty much stuck. I think they're barely making money now. For the last year, they finally are making some money.
Well, but yes, but once they pull the human out, which they have in the vehicles itself, they'll just lower the price.
Uh,
How?
yeah, not sure how they're going to do that. Go ahead.
Well, because you have a vehicle that gets much less efficiency than
Yeah.
a cybercab, than even a Model 3 or Y. So you're going to pay more per mile, period.
Yeah.
You've got something that's 50 times harder to clean than a cybercab. So your ongoing is going to be more expensive. Um, it's You've got a vehicle that's less reliable. Even if you want to pretend that the I-Pace is just as good as a Tesla, you can pretend. No one's going to believe you, but let's pretend, because they will move to a Kia or a Zeekr in the future. You can argue those are just as good. Once you start drilling holes to add stuff, you lessen the reliability, you lessen the efficiency. Have we even seen crash testing on these vehicles with all these baubles glued onto the outside? I mean, there's a reason you don't bedazzle your steering wheel and then wait for the airbag to go off. It's not a good idea. And we don't know how that's going to play out. But the idea that Waymo, first of all, if it's Waymo plus Uber, they both want to cut.
Yes.
Neither one wants to do it for free. But even if Waymo says we'll do it at zero margin just to get going, Uber will still need their money.
Yes.
So you can't compete. You've got too many middlemen. It is nothing but middlemen, top to bottom.
Yeah. So when I was trying to distill this with somebody else, not Gary Black, a while back, I said, okay, they were suggesting that the fact that Tesla would have the lowest cost per mile was not that important. And I said,
Wow,
yeah. So I said,
that's
okay. I said, so
bold.
okay, if Tesla's cost per mile, which pretty much everybody agrees on, is going to be somewhere around 25 cents. It might be as low as 20, might even drop a little under 20. Other
Mm.
people have put it as high as 35, but I want to say that once they're up and really rolling, it's going to be around 25 cents a mile. And if the lowest number I've seen for Waymo yet has been 50 cents a mile as their cost per mile, then that would mean that Tesla could sell it for 49 cents a mile at margins approaching 50%, and Waymo would be out of business.
So a lot of the numbers I've seen trying to calculate cost per mile have been, mm, to put it mildly, insane. Um, and I would say 25 cents a mile is impossible. But I would say for Waymo to get to 50 cents a mile is also impossible. There's no chance in hell Waymo's going to be running at 50 cents a mile. When you look at the fact that Uber is charging, just their cut is something like 50 cents a mile, and they're still not making money, I have to wonder, what are their expenses in terms of their second layer of insurance, in terms of their network, in terms of, I mean, where is all your overhead going? So there's a lot of costs that I think are not intuitive that we're missing. But whatever the case is, what I say is pick your own number, and now let's compare it to the other. Let's set one of them as your baseline. If Waymo's your baseline, great. Let's look at every aspect, and you tell me which parts of it on Tesla are going to be more expensive. And the answer is not a single one. There will not. And Tesla has an app. Oh, those 7 million users aren't enough? Okay, then we'll integrate it with the X app. So come on. You don't have enough coders to make a good app? We do. That's not an issue. And realistically, I would be very surprised if between Tesla and X and XAI, I guess just X, you could say, I'd be very surprised if they don't have the ability to better manage the network to minimize deadheading, because they will be able to predict events around town that will cause surges. And they might even prioritize vehicles going that direction. They might send you a message and go, hey, I know you love to go to that bakery on 23rd. I need to get to 23rd anyway. I got a special going for the next half hour. It's half price because I'm going there anyway. Waymo will not be able to touch that. So any part of it, the power, the cleaning, the maintenance, the predictability of the maintenance. How do I know my tires need to be replaced? Well, because tires need to be replaced at 32,400 miles. And I know because every car drives the exact same way. So unless there's significant variations in the roadways between your town and mine, then we get a regional thing. In my town, it's going to be 1,000 miles earlier. In your town, 3,000, whatever. It's going to be extremely predictable because they're all going to be used the exact same way, driven the exact same way by the same brain.
Yeah, so some of the little things that I put on my list the other day, I think I had 49 items on the list, but there were things that I think people haven't given any consideration to, is kind of what you were just saying about service. Well, Tesla has service centers throughout the globe already established. And when the car needs to go
Yes.
in for service, it goes to a Tesla service center where they will be charged the Tesla rate because it's owned by the same company. So basically it's cost. And then if they need to replace a fender or replace a tire or replace a battery pack or replace whatever it is, it's all going to be done at cost.
Right.
When a Waymo or an Uber goes into needing a repair, and they have way more things that need repairs, when they go looking for a repair, they're going to have to go into a regular neighborhood repair center or to General Motors or Chevy or
I think worse. I think they'll have to go to a specialized third party shop. I mean, you might as well say Performance Marine at that point, because the cost is going to be high. They've got to pay. So first of all, they're buying a car, and maybe they'll get a fleet price, but that's still worse than your own price. You're going to have to pay the manufacturer. Then you have to pay Magna to do the retrofit. And if you have a problem with the Magna parts, what do you have to send it all the way back to Arizona? Maybe. Or are you going to have Magna certified LiDAR FSD shops all over the country, all over the world? Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Because you're going to have to do something.
Then when it comes to the cost of energy, well, okay, so they're going to be charging up at whatever charging station they can find to get charged up at, which may or may not be an efficient one that gets them charged up as quickly as a Tesla. But forget all that. Let's just say that Tesla has charging stations all over the world, and they will be charging them inductively when they get to the Cybercab, but the rest of them will be charged as they are now. So there's going to be a requirement to have some kind of human or robotic opportunity for the Model 3s and Ys, et cetera, that go into these charging stations. But once they get there, they're going to be paying what Tesla pays for the energy. They're not going to be paying any markup on the energy. They're going to be paying what Tesla pays for the energy. And if Tesla cares enough, if they want to get their costs under that 25 cents a mile, then they can just build a solar station next door or down the street, put solar panels up in a farmer's field or some kind of vacant lot or over a building someplace for free. And they can, now all of a sudden they've got the solar energy coming in for free. They can put in a mega pack on the grounds, which they already do in many charging locations. And now they're basically quote unquote free energy.
Yes. And that's the next thing. So yeah, if you want to pretend that inductive charging isn't a huge advantage, you can, but it is. How do you charge 500 taxis? Well, you could have literally what looks like an alley with pads on it. And you don't even have to fill it with pads. Just the front ones have pads. The other ones behind it are waiting their turn. And you can, if the demand is high, you just charge them until whenever the curve kicks in, 70%, 80%, everyone pulls forward one position. And it just keeps moving all day. Where, what are we doing with the humans? The humans are plugging it in, or are we having robots? Come on. That is a catastrophe, but fine, whatever. But yes, like you said, if the industrial or commercial rate is 6 cents, that's what Tesla's paying.
Right.
Whereas if your car is going to electrify America, you're paying 35 cents, 50 cents. If you're coming all the way back to your own depot that now you had to custom build, I don't see where the savings is. If a part breaks on your car and it has to be repaired, it costs money. Mm-hmm. The Cybercab has no parts.
Yeah, right.
All the parts have been eliminated. It has 3 pieces of glass instead of 11. But glass rarely breaks. That's true. But the seals can go bad.
I've had two. On my car in 4 years, I've had the side brake and the front glass brake because I was in a sandstorm. So it's not never.
Yeah. Well, yes. It's. Would you rather have, as a manufacturer, 3 pieces of glass or 11? And because the cars are so simple and produce in such volume, the parts will be Volkswagen Beetle common.
Right. Yeah. So then, I don't know, there's this little thing called customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you and I have talked about this before, but what do I want to take my date downtown to see to go out to dinner? Do I want to take her out in a Cybercab or a Model 3? Or would I rather take her out in something that looks like a
pink limo, I thought. Sure.
Some kind of weird thing on the roof. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, I think there's a big difference just in the value of the look of the vehicle that you're going to be hailing when you do ride hail.
Let's be generous and say that a Waymo is only as ugly as a cab.
Yeah, okay.
Let's be generous.
Yeah.
We can be generous and say it's a cab. People will mentally filter it. It's a cab. But a Cybercab is a cool little economy sports car. I would say it has the same kind of cool aesthetic as a Miata. It's small. It's not expensive, but it's cool.
Right.
And frankly, it doesn't look that weird.
No.
The more I see it, the more it looks like a normal car.
And so then I get into, let's talk Cybercab, because I mean, a Model 3, it's the experience I think will be better in a Model 3 than it will be in a whatever it is that the Waymo. And of course, with Uber, you're talking about, you don't know what you're going to get into. I mean, it could be old, it could be new, it could be, cushions sagging, or, you don't know what you're going to get into. Every one of them is different. But let's talk about when it is a Cybercab, you're going to you're going to have a completely different experience with one or two people both sitting in the front seat in an extremely comfortable lounge chair with unlimited legroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge screen, your app's already on it. If you have Spotify in your account, Spotify's already on this car. Your YouTube premium or YouTube account is already connected. You can watch your shows. Yeah, it's a better experience. No cubbies to forget your stuff in. Yeah, it's the experience. I think will be better. But
All right, so let's just for fun to kind of wrap it up here. Elon Musk the other day stated at least twice that he believes that the total market share for Tesla will be 90+%. Cathie Wood and her team have spent tremendous amount of time over the last 5 years studying, restudying, thinking it through, going back and forth, and they keep coming up with the same number. They think Tesla will end up with 50% share international over the entire world. When I had Gary on my program and we were talking about this, I said, Gary, look, I'd be happy with 25% worldwide share. It's okay. I'm all right there. And he didn't even think Tesla would get to 25%. So in that massive range, Brian, where do you come in? What do you think is going to happen?
it's not going to be 90. That's unfortunate. Sorry to burst your bubble. But it all comes down to, does it work? I think we are getting to the point with Waymo where it works well enough for them to begin scaling. We're seeing it happen. I think, does Cybercab work? I don't know. Let's assume that it does, because if it doesn't, none of this matters. If it does work, I think under 25% would be a little crazy. And I think over 50% would be crazy. But it's going to depend on the regulatory environment in each country. And if a country doesn't approve driverless vehicles until 2030, 2035,
Right.
when there are 5 viable competitors on the market, then maybe they wouldn't get to 25% in that market. Because the Chinese companies are working very aggressively on this as well. They have the presence of mind to think the cost through before they build something. So they would be the real competitors. The Uber Waymo approach, they're going to have to get real serious about their upfront costs. They went into it thinking, well, if this works, it won't matter what it costs.
Right,
and at the time, I think that was true, and they never pivoted. So they need to pull their heads out.
Pull their heads out. Okay, so you're between 25 and 50.
I'd say so.
We're going to put you at 37.5 then, okay?
That's fine.
Okay. We just have to have a number, Brian. You know how we are about numbers here.
I do. I do.
All right. Well, listen, as I said before, follow Brian. He's undoubtedly going to have some very interesting things to say about cars in Mexico City, and other things, maybe part supplies. I don't know is there anything specific?
I'll give you one teaser. There's a company called 𝐒𝐻𝐚𝐲 who makes electric cars. They've already sold over 100 of them. They have a factory in Puebla, and their headquarters is here in Mexico City. I will be talking with them in the next few days.
Very cool. Thank you for that teaser. I'm always looking to be teased. It has been great, as always, talking to Brian White of Future 𝐒𝐻𝐚𝐲. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.